And here we are, week 17, the last week of the year for our fantasy football season. It all ends after this. Kind of sad when you start to think about it. That I mean, it seems like it's a long year when you start looking at doing all your prep work for the mock drafts, and then you get into the draft, and then throughout the season. But it's almost over. Really, after this week, I mean, what should be fun with this league, right, is we're going to have some stuff we can do in the off season as we, prep for our keeper leagues, and we'll already know draft position and things like that. So that'll make the off season a lot more fun, but it all wraps up after this weekend. But with this, of course, weekend, and of course, with this video, we get to crown a champion when it's all said and done. And we're going to pick that today on who's going to win and who will be our champion and who will win most of the money from one heck of a payout that goes to first. So, but before we talk about that, there are a few things that we kind of know or that we're working on deciding, right? And that is draft position. That was something unique that we did here with the Sleeper League and how we're doing the losers bracket as well. Well, some of those are decided. So if we kind of look at how some teams have already finished, I know we have, we'll scroll all the way down to the consolation bracket. Will and Josh are already done, right? They are already finished, so they know that Will finished in 11th place and Josh finished in 12th place. So what that puts them then is, because they did not win the losers bracket, right? The winners of the losers bracket are fighting for 1 and 2, and then the next two fight for 3 for 4. Well, then Will will have the 5th pick, and Josh will have the 6th pick. So, worst out of the losers bracket, I guess. It all depends, honestly, on how you look at it. I know I was talking to Josh a little bit on the side here, and honestly, that's kind of where he wanted. When he's got a strong keeper that he really didn't want to have to give up the first spot for it. So, further down in the draft is, almost better of where he'd prefer to be. And I think he ended up exactly where he wanted to be, so he's happy. So, what we're still fighting for, right, for here is Adam versus myself, fighting for who's going to be then third and who will be fourth in the, next year's draft. And then, of course, the Loser Bowl championship between Sean and Jeremy. They're fighting to see who's going to have the very first pick next year and who will have the second pick. And then also some things have been finalized too with the regular playoffs because the 5th place game has done. So we do know that Dez ended up winning that matchup. So he finished 5th and Jay finished 6th. So what that means then is Jay is going to have that 7th pick and then Dez is going to have the 8th pick in the draft next year. And don't worry, we will recap all of this when the season is done and finalized. And that will be a little bit more official than what I'm telling you now, but this is based on how I'm seeing the rankings finishing up. And then fighting for the 9th and the 10th pick for next year is that's between Jake and Clint to see how that finishes out. That's also, of course, our 3rd place game. And then, of course, fighting for the 11th and 12th position drafting would be our champion and our runner-up. So that's between Ian and John. So we've got 4 teams right now that know exactly where they're drafting. Will at 5, Josh at 6, Jay at 7, and Des at 8. So they can already start thinking, since they're not playing it all this week, they can already start thinking about keepers and what that looks like and things like that for next year. Just a reminder of what payouts are. As for this year, first is $750, second $350, and then third is $100. So that hasn't changed at all. From the past couple of years, I think that we've been doing $100 buy-in, and we will see. We've talked about adding some additional things for next year, so that may change. But we'll decide all that in the off season. So let's jump into the matchup. So before we actually pick our champions and even the third place game, we'll go down to the losers bracket. And we'll do something we normally don't do, and that's pick my game first, because it really doesn't matter. My team's in a world of hurt. I'm playing against Adam. The winner of us gets the third pick next year. The loser gets the fourth pick. There's not a ton on the line. No money, of course. Not even pride at this point, really. I'm picking Adam to win this. My team is just in shambles. They're hurt. And yeah, it's one of those. If I would have made the playoffs, I would have been out in the first week anyways. I wouldn't have made it far. So it makes me feel a little bit better about not making the playoffs. But I don't know. I'm going to end up losing to Adam, who I don't even remember the record that he ended up having, but just embarrassing when it's all said and done. But anyways, Adam wins that. That would mean Adam would have the third pick and I'd have the fourth pick. And then in our Loser Bowl championship game, the Brother Bowl, or however you want to look at it, Sean versus Jeremy, when I was trying to break it down, I wanted to pick Jeremy to win. Wanted to pick the upset. Thought it would be funny. I thought it would be awesome that, Jeremy, comes all the way back to win a championship. Granted, it's in the loser bracket and so on, but still. And that would get him the number 1 pick for next year, but I can't do it. Sean does have a strong team. We all know he barely missed the playoffs. Probably would have done some damage in the playoffs, possible, depending on the matchups and things like that. So, but I can't pick against Sean. He's got the better team. He's projected more. So I do say Sean will win the matchup, which would give Sean the number 1 pick for next year, and then Jeremy the number 2 pick. So, all right, all that's great. Let's jump into the games that really, truly matter. We'll start with the third place game. This is Clinton versus Jake. And remember, although you're not fighting for number 1 and number 2, and yes, that sucks, you are still fighting for your money back. So, and however you want to word this to your friends and family, you can either say, yes, I won money in this league, which technically you did not. You just won your money back. Or you can quickly say, I was never in fantasy football at all. I did not shell out any money. I did not lose any money in fantasy football, and completely deny that you even were doing this league at all, because you would be net, 0 on your profit losses, however you want to do it. But I know if I was in the game, I would still, get your $100 back. You feel a little bit better on the year. You didn't lose any money. It's $100. It'll, fill up your gas tank once or so, maybe buy you a third of groceries. So anyways, breaking it down, though, we can actually kind of look at the matchup here. I do think it's going to be close. The predictions say it's going to be close. I give Clint the advantage for quarterback. He's got Josh Allen. We all know we can get a couple of rushing touchdowns and so on. Goff, I'm hopeful for that game against Dallas tonight, but we'll have to see how that game goes. Being away from home, kind of a big time primetime game, the whole world watching, all that. I will give the running back advantage though to Jake. Especially since only 1 Q. Jonathan Taylor will get pretty much all the carries now, right? Because if I saw right, yep, Zach Moss is out. So that I think that will definitely help. Wide receiver, I'm also giving that to Jake. That's could be close. Poor Clint, he's going to start Pickens this week, and who put up 1.5 points or something like that, because that's just how that season has gone for that team. But we'll see how that goes. I gave the tight end to Clint. He's got Kelsey, and I know he hasn't had the greatest of years, but I do think he should at least, outscore Kittle. With all that being said, super, super close. And then let's see what's Sunday, right? The games only go through Sunday. Yep. So at least by the end of Sunday, right, we will know who was going to win, between, everybody. So, but with this, again, it's going to be super close, but I am going with Jake just because I gave him the running back and wide receiver edge. I think those will be the difference. It will be close. It will be, we'll come down to that last game or so on Sunday. But I think Jake is going to end up just with a few points more than Clinton. Yes, we all know that's how you win here is you have more points than your opponent. So Jake takes home third, gets the $100. And unfortunately, Clint, after one hell of a year, would finish fourth and no money. So motivation for next year, I would imagine. So. And then we look at our championship game, right? Ian versus John. So rematch of last year, and I was searching for music. I ended up going, of course, with Van Halen right now. Feel like it's also a good, song when you're looking at the finals and championship round and things like that. But I was trying to find a good, song about rematch and things like that and so on. I just couldn't find something that worked out. So we went with Van Halen for this. So, but a reminder, whoever wins between these two, right, they get $750. That's what goes to first. And then $350 goes to second. So really they're both sitting pretty. I mean, even if you end up second, right, you're still $350. That covers, if you're in multiple leagues, that should actually make it so you have a profit on the year. And I guess that's really all you want when you play fantasy football, right? To be able to enjoy the sport, to watch it on TV, relaxing or whatever some people, I guess, do. That's definitely not how I handle it when I watch it on Sundays, but you make a little bit of profit. And I think that's probably the most important part. So between these two, again, I know projections here say John's 134 points to Ian 109. I don't think it's going to be that lopsided. I think it is going to be very close because during the breakdown here, I've got quarterback, wide receiver, and tight end all a toss up between these two because he's starting Stroud now. Just unfortunately, Mahomes doesn't always have the great games as of right now. Running back, I'm giving to John mostly because he's already had Hall, who gave him 27 points, and that's one heck of an advantage already going into the Saturday and Sunday games. So quarterback, wide receiver, and tight end, I say are all toss-ups between them, and giving John the running back edge. So we can even look at kickers if we want to really try to break it down. That pretty even. We look at defenses, pretty even on there as well. Actually, Atlanta's even projected higher. Yeah. So again, going to be very close. It should be one heck of a championship game. But this year's champion is going to be John. John does it, comes back, barely makes the playoffs because I lost and ends up winning it all. How crazy would that be? So barely making the playoffs to actually winning it all. But that's what I see, and that's what I'm predicting here. So I think John's toughest thing that he's going to have to deal with is not playing against Ian. It is now playing and fighting off that kiss of death, the KOD that I just put on you, John. That I have confidence in your team that you're going to win. You're going to win the championship and finish first in our league. So there you have it. There's our breakdown. There's kind of everything we know as of going into this week. Just remember, although the season really ends this weekend, we are not done. We'll have another video, of course, to recap and, celebrate our champion. And then we're going to have a couple of videos after that here pretty soon after the regular season. I want to go back over the rules, and then I'm going to want to do one just dedicated to keepers and probably really break down and maybe just use, again, I think I said it before, I'll use my team as an example and just kind of go through it. And we're not going to do a ton because I don't want to give, anybody, how they should handle their team and so on. That's all up to you. And being the first year, I don't really know how it's going to go. All I know is, kind of what I'm thinking based on our rules and what I'm seeing on my team. So we'll just, kind of use that for fun, just so you can guys, start thinking about that, because we'll have a long time before we have to declare keepers. I believe as of right now, it's set for like 2 weeks before the draft. So it wouldn't even be until August, and a lot's going to change between now and then with players and rankings and things like that. But it's things that you can really start thinking about, especially since you'll know your draft order, you'll know the team that you have, and you'll know that you can keep 3 of them. For that next year. So just because the season ends, don't stop paying attention, because we'll still have a few other videos. And now that we know draft order actually in the off season, we can probably start doing some mock drafts for fun. Even early in the season, just because we can. So, all right, that's it for today's video. Congrats again for those that are playing for some money between Ian, John, Clint, and Jake, who really have made our final, 4 that are still in money contention, but really focused on Ian versus John, and who's going to end up as champion of our league. So good luck, everyone, and we'll chat over the weekend.